So, effective literature search strategies, what we will do is we will run through this particular PPT first so that we don't leave it behind, because the hands on activities we will be completing. If we happen to go beyond 8:30, then some of you might be still wanting to stay back and do it. And if not, then a few of you will be more confident in doing those activities on your own. Let's get into this effective literature search strategies. So we are not really talking about finding research gap. I am leaving it all up to you, because there are multiple different ways in which you can find a literature gap, or a significant research topic that requires to be solved, that requires to be answered. So that is something that we are not going to look into, but we will look at how to search for relevant literature. So while literature search really matters, there are four ways to look at this. Why literature search matters? Because it helps us in identifying the research gaps. When we read significant amount of literature and relevant literature, mind this, significant number of literature and relevant literature, that is when we are able to find the knowledge gap, that is also called research gap. Often it is something that we adopt from our peers, maybe from our advisor. So the research gap is already available, and then you have to read around it. But to be able to receive enough literacy around the topic, you have to have what I would say, you have to have some literature backing. You have to have the background as to what is being ongoing around this particular literature topic. Then avoid repeating what's already done. If you feel one aspect of that research problem has already been done, then take up those results itself. If you feel that they are reliable, if you feel they are not reliable, define why it is not reliable, and then go ahead redoing it. But then if you feel that the results are reliable, then don't go for redoing it. Rather, just adapt that particular data as secondary data in your study, and then move ahead to further close the gap, right, with knowledge, definitely. Third, reading this literature will also shape your research question. Earlier, the research question is very fragile. uh, you don't really have an in-depth understanding of this particular question. But when you read, that is when your research question becomes more clear. And that is also when you get to understand what are the different methodologies that have been adapted to answer the same question, if at all somebody else has tried to answer it. You also get an understanding about why they were not able to solve it. So reading is the key. If you don't read, there is nothing else that can go ahead. Reading is the first thing, right? And then build credibility by showing you know the field, because that is important, isn't it? Whenever you want to go and talk about your problem, or what you have found out, or your perspective about the research problem with your advisor, or with your seniors, with your colleagues, that is when they have to know that yes, you know something. And how will you know something? It is only when you read, right? So far there is no such technology which will be able to flash before your eyes questions and things like that. You should be able to have um, um, uh, a free flowing conversation, a valid conversation with your colleagues, with your advisor, and you should get that credibility that yes, this person knows something and will be able to as well answer the query, right? So that is why reading literature is very, very important, and we cannot escape it. That is where many of our questions get answered, as well as we build our credibility. A strong literature review is the foundation of any research project, may it be 1 month long project, may it be 6 month long project, may it be an year long project, may it be your PhD project, may it be any kind of research project. A very strong literature review wherein you have read enough in significant amount, as well as that you have read relevant literature, that is when uh, the foundation of your research idea will be um, significant. Now, what are the common mistakes that often we make as beginners? Those of us who will spend, who must have spent enough years in research, must have already, identified these mistakes that they are making, and then they will escape it. But then, how about us beginners? So the common mistakes that we make, depending only on Google search. So we just go to Google and we search for, let's say if we are trying to understand land use land cover change, so we just go to Google and simply type land use land cover change research articles. That's the biggest mistake that we do. That is wherein we don't know what is a structured way in which we will be able to search the research articles, or relevant and significant, revolutionary rather, research articles or source, what we say. Using broad keywords, often we search using keywords. So if I'm interested in understanding the phytoplankton growth in a given estuary, so I specifically go to Google and tell it, phytoplanktons in Sharavati estuary 2023. But then that is not going to be helpful, right? So we cannot be too specific when we are expressing to any search engine with our keywords, or with our study that we are going to do. What we have to do is we have to be specific in a manner that we will be able to yield all the research papers or books or any articles that are out there. So there has to be a distinguished way in which we will approach even searching for literature. Forgetting to check recent publication, what we do is our guide must have read some research articles that were older than 10 years or maybe 5 years, because now they have changed their field. They are researching into something else, but then this particular research problem that they have given it to us, and then we are reading the same literature that they have given us, rather than searching for what has happened in recent years. That recent year could also be just last year or maybe this year, right? We forget to check which are the recent publication, what is the literature that has been produced in recent past. So that is also a problem. And skipping discipline specific database. Now if I am, let's say, searching for phytoplanktons in Sharavati estuary, I need not only search for phytoplanktons, I might also want to look at what is the organic matter that is coming into the estuary, or how much sediments are coming into the estuary, because they are the ultimate medium along which the nutrients come into the estuary, and that is where the phytoplanktons will find it easy to be able to thrive there. So finding that discipline specific database, finding secondary data that has been generated by somebody else in the past, is also very important. And what is the tip here? Focus on finding something that is relevant and very high quality papers. We have to escape from using such literature which has been used by um, which has been coming in some predatory journals or maybe local journals, where peer review journals is peer reviewed literature is not available, or the research is not available. So those are the things that we have to escape. We have to find highly relevant literature and credible literature that is being published by quality journals, where a peer review process is more thorough. Now, where to search? That is the main question. Where to search? We have understood what are the common mistakes that we make. We have also understood what is the significance of this literature search. Then, where to search for this literature? First and foremost, it is Google Scholar. We all go to Google Scholar, right? Google Scholar is a vast reservoir of all the literature that has been published even yesterday. So that paper as well will be coming on Google Scholar. So Google Scholar is a traditional source where we will search for it. Then now recent, after 2021, there have been many AI powered discoveries that are also coming up. State of the art, these are the tools which are state of the art. The new researchers as well as the old literature would want to use these AI tools in order to be able to find more filtered and more customized searched literature. For this, you can go to Elicit or Research Rabbit. These are the two such AI tools which you can use, Elicit and Research Rabbit. Now, these are the ones that we will also take up as hands on activity. So, in our hands on activity, I have asked you to search for one research problem that you would like to research around, and also to frame two, at least two objectives. So using those, we will search for some relevant literatures from quality journals, from peer reviewed journals. So that is one hands on activity that we are going to do, in which we will include Elicit, Research Rabbit, as well as Google Scholar. Moving ahead, what are the search techniques? Now these are important. So we know the reservoirs where these research articles or their information might be stored, but we need to know what are the different techniques in which we will be able to search for them, correct? No, the first is Boolean operator. Whenever you are searching for any literature, there are something called keywords. Any literature, any paper, any manuscript, any research article that you look at, there must be some keywords that are mentioned there. Even when it comes to your specific research question, you will be able to strongly associate your research question with some keywords. For example, if I am trying to study land use land cover change in Delhi for last 10 years, or let's say 30 years, then what are the keywords that I can think of? Land use land cover, right? Anthropogenic pressure, also maybe urban sprawl, or what else, maybe nighttime light or something like that, right? So these are the things that I am able to think of. These are the keywords that I'm able to think of. So whenever we are searching for our literature, which has to be relevant, has to be significant, so that we will end up using it all throughout our research, you can use these Boolean operators like and. For example, for the study that I was telling you, I can use land use land cover and change, or land use land cover and change and urban, right? Urban sprawl or something like that. uh, Besides that, there is also or. Rather than using and, you can also use or. So what or does, you have to identify some, what I should say, um, the synonyms, right? For land use land cover, what are the other synonyms? Maybe its acronyms are there, LULC. So what I will do, land use land cover or LULC. So in this way, what I do, I try to filter out only those articles or those sources within which we have these keywords mentioned. As many as you want. If you add 7 or 8 keywords, what is going to happen? More, even more relevant literature that has all these keywords um, uh, will start showing up on your screen, and that means these are the ones which are more important or which are more reliable, right? Besides that, there is also not. So if I want to study land use land cover, not climatic disaster, right? Land use land cover is often also studied in response to natural disasters like floods or maybe earthquake and things like that. But then I don't want to study naturally induced changes like that, or because of flood or something like that. So what I will do, I will rather use something like land use land cover, not climatic stress and something like that. Are you following that? So with this, what will happen? I will be able to narrow down my search and find only the more relevant literature. Besides that, use quotation marks in association with this and, or, and not. You can also use quotation marks within which you will embed your keywords. For example, if I want to study coastal erosion, I want to find all those papers which have compulsorily coastal erosion. Then what I will do, I will put them into quotation mark, and then let's say coastal erosion in quotation mark and estuary, right? So I want to study, let's say, only estuarine coast. So these are the two important keywords that I have. I will put both of them in quotation marks. So what will happen, I will be able to find only those literature which have mentioned, those papers which have mentioned coastal erosion and estuary, or maybe tropical, if I want to study only the tropical estuaries. Besides that, you also use filters. Find out which subject area you are more able to associate your research idea with. If you want to find only open access because you don't have enough capital to invest into, purchasing this literature, so you may go for only open access. As well as, if you remember, I even told you that you have to pay attention to those literature that has been very recently published, maybe last 5 years, or even maybe only this year. So what you can do, you can also use these ear filters to find such literature. Just to add to this, you may also use something called ratioing technique. What exactly is this ratioing technique? It is 30, 30, 30, 10. 30, 30, 30, 10. What it means is that 30% of your literature should be belonging to last one decade. Okay, 30% of literature has to be pioneering research, those research articles which were revolutionary, they were just put forward back in those days. Okay, they might be 2 decades or 3 decades old, depending upon what kind of research problem it is, right? Besides that, you can also, for example, one of my good friend is also researching on microplastics present in tropical rivers. So this is significantly a new topic. So what they can do, they can search for maybe 1 decade long, what was available 1 decade ago. So there might not be a lot of literature available on it, isn't it? So what they can do, 10 years before whatever researches were available, they were all pioneering. So 30% of those, 30% of new literature. And besides that, 30% of it has also to do with the methodology that you have chosen, right? And 10% should be review articles. This is the best ratio. 3 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. Okay, this is the best ratio that you can go for. And then moving ahead into citation chaining. Often what happens is that you found a very relevant literature, a very relevant paper that now itself will remain with you until you publish your article, because in your article also you are going to cite it. So that is when you look at those articles that have been referred by this particular author, as well as check who else has cited them. So those researches which have been cited by this relevant literature, this relevant research article, as well as those articles which have cited this article. So that is what we call backward search and forward search. Backward search means look at the references that the paper cites, and forward search means look at how many and which new papers have cited this particular article. You have a mountain of literature with you when you go through these two techniques. There are also some advanced and ongoing strategies with this AI coming into the picture. Besides that, there is something that we call reference manager. So you can use one of the reference managers, maybe Mendeley or Zotero or EndNote. There are numerous videos on YouTube in order to be able to download it, install it, which is again very simple. And then these are free sources, as well as how to maintain them, right? How to connect them to your Word document, or even Google document, and things like that. So there are these many different sources as well, right? So besides that, what are the other advanced and ongoing strategies? Set up alerts on Google Scholar, on Research Rabbit. There is also an app called Researcher. So what you can do, you can set alerts as to whenever there comes any new article, no, in the field which you are trying to research. So what you can do, what will happen, you will get an alert on your phone as a notification that the in so and so journal there is a a publication or an article has been published in the domain that you are interested in or that you have searched for. You can also follow some important authors. They often publish or they are actively researching into the similar problem that you are trying to investigate, so you can put alerts on them as well using researchgate or using Google Scholar and things like that. Use AI summarizations. Often, if you have obtained the PDF of your research article that you find is important, so what you can do, you can use Chat GPT or Site. These are the new AI tools that will be helping you in giving abstract ideas of what is available in the PDF, rather than you by par going through entire research article and reading it. There are also strategies in which you can read your research article. The first and foremost, you have to read abstract. Note this down somewhere, because I feel this is an important thing which I have not added in the PPT. You have to read the abstract of the research article first. Definitely, the title you have already read, but then you have to read the abstract first. Read the abstract first, read the introduction next, because that is where the research or the problem that has been investigated is um, generalized and has been talked about. What are the different findings that are so far available in the research domain that or the field domain that you are investigating into. After reading introduction, straight go to conclusion. See what they have concluded. See if all this is relevant to you. After reading abstract, often you will just ignore some of the articles. You will find that they are not relevant. If you find them relevant, read the introduction. Often at introduction you will feel this is not the concept that I am trying to look at, or that I don't have expertise that is required in order to investigate it. So there itself, some of the literature will be taken off, eradicated. It won't remain in your reservoir. And then you go to conclusion, see if it is still relevant to your study, and then go ahead. Then you use that 30% 30% 30% 30% and 10% formula on your